Okay, I don't have a fancy phone or a camera or a selfie stick. I'm working on the lawn here for the past few seasons. And it's a lot better than it's ever been, other than the first few years we moved in. This area right here was non-existent. It was just beaten and run down and a mess. This area got heavily seeded with Let's Go All Pro teammates. I really like the dark stuff that's coming up and through. Now I keep this long. I cut it at 4 inches. And I think I have a little bit of POA going in here too, which I think is left over from a high traffic blend I put down years ago. Anyhow, this area is holding up good, and I keep it at 4 inches. And we're out here all the time, sitting in this little area. And you can clearly see kind of where it ends. Well, I can. I don't know if it comes up on the camera. Right there. I kind of ended the heavy seed in there, and the rest was just a broadcast overseed. But you can really see the difference here. This is nice and green. I do have some signs of fungus if you're looking here. Yeah. I do have some signs of fungus. And what I've been noticing is this particular grass, this newer grass, is definitely not as affected by the fungus as, here's a good patch fit, not as affected by the fungus as the older grass in my yard, which I have plenty of. It's a mixed bag of everything. As you come down here, the grass definitely changes. It's more of this finer blend stuff. And I think this might be the perennial rye, maybe. This particular grass in this section of the yard is probably the oldest section of grass. I mean, it's very thick, but it has this, fungus going into it. That's not too devastating, but it's there. And I seem to be getting about 50% new growth versus death of the blades. I also have a lot of seed stock die off. And you can just see how it's almost an even blend of brown and green. It's driving me nuts. I have about 3 days left on the 14-day rotation of Eagle 20. I've been putting down 1 inch a week. I do a 1/2 inch on Thursday mornings and a 1/2 inch on Sunday mornings if it don't rain, which I haven't got a lot of rain. This week was the most rain I've ever got since early April. I actually got about 3/4 of an inch in one event. And then this area right here was a complete mess. From this point on, the soil is a mess. And I've been working on getting the soil better, soil testing, getting the pH up. But because of budget constraints, from this point on, from here all the way over, I used Jonathan Green Black Beauty Original. Now this area all through here and the fire pit area was all run down from foot traffic hanging out around the fire pit. and just poor soil. Everything from this point on is a combination of sand and gravel. And I have a leaching field over there, which isn't used. We pump the tanks long before the leaching field gets used, just to avoid any leaching field problems. Now this Jonathan Green Black Beauty is all this stuff here. It's pretty medium grain grass, and again, it's got the fungus a little bit. There's definitely something going on here. It's just not taking over. It just comes and goes. It's never gone away since I got the mycelium a few weeks ago, even with the 2 applications of Eagle 20. But I'm not unhappy with how the Jonathan Green has come in here. And I've been fighting this stuff here, which I'm not really sure what this is. This could be the old Kentucky 31 that I planted a long time ago. Someone said it's barnyard grass. Someone said it's Dallas grass. All I know is it's tough. And it doesn't really like, you know, the lawn safe weed killer. It will weaken it. And I think I've did a good job at eliminating it. I pull it and I spray. I put on the applications of the weed killer for lawns. I used Ortho and Roundup for lawns, and it seemed to stress it enough to eliminate a good amount of it. But it's still popping up here and there. But it's 80% better than it was a year ago. Also getting lots of little mushrooms. So apparently whatever fungicide I use doesn't stop these. And this area is not quite as brown. So I think it's that thinner blade stuff, or the perennial rye, that might be getting brown. And that's where we start to get back into the brown here. And I think this is a lot of seed stock debt. Those are all seed stalks, I believe. These look like seed stalks. So I get a lot of seed stock death. That tends to go away in about a week or so. Now this area here was almost bare soil last year. This whole area right up through here, down here, and up to my shed was sinking because they buried like 8 huge tree stumps at some point before I bought the house, and it was sinking. I was taking the shed with it. You can kind of see some remnants of that right here. You can see there's a dip down there. And I had that repaired last year and overseeded the whole yard. And then I got a fungus attack, which I'm gonna say was Pythium, because it showed up and pretty much went across this whole area and out into here, especially out into this area here and right there. It went through this whole area in like days. It just turned it into a dark, nasty mess, and it almost got slimy, and it actually stunk. It was pretty gross. All these areas were pretty bare last year, so I'm getting decent growth. And it's just, the new growth just seems to be outpacing the fungus just a little bit. I do have some azoxystrobin on the way. You see this patch here? I'm going to say that's one of the patches where I got the fungus infection last year really bad. I got my little water gauge. That's a rock under there. But I got this last week. It had that same dark, nasty look as I got last year. And I had a little bit of the Eagle 20. I basically just sprayed, I don't know, 300-400 square feet around it. It seemed to have held it off. I haven't mowed it. Haven't mowed this whole area. As you can see, this stuff does, I mean, quite damaged right away. It is recovering a little. I do have some grass coming back up through it. But again, it seems to be all this really fine grass, which I'm not a big fan of. This stuff, although it's fine, it's very coarse. I mean, this stuff, the wide stuff, although it looks coarse, it feels better. It feels softer than this wiry stuff. It feels wiry. But as you can see, I mean, you can see remnants of the real dark areas. Excuse my camera skills. You can see the real dark blades. It gets almost a wet, greasy look. And I had this through almost my entire yard last year. I probably lost 40% of my yard, my grass. But you can see how there's signs of fungus. And like I said, I got about 3 days left on my 14-day rotation. And I'm hoping the azoxystrobin shows up by then. It's probably the cheapest. And this is the other stuff I've been getting. These just random brown spots. But these just turn the tips of the leaves brown, and it just kind of goes away. This spot will be green in another 2 or 3 days. There's that nasty, wide bladed grass. Pretty sure it's the K31 that was out here that I put down God knows how many years ago. But I get these random spots here. And there's another one. Another one. Now I've been mowing, because if I don't mow, it gets pretty fast. I just mowed this yesterday. In this part of the yard, I mow with the rider, which I only get about, what, 3 inches maybe? Yeah, so it's finger deep, so about 3 inches. The rest of the yard I mow with the push mower, and I have it on its highest setting, which is a touch over 3 inches, probably like 3.5. It's supposed to be 4, but it's not. And I do have plenty of rabbits. I have what's called the fescue pit. This is another area. I don't know if you can pick up on it or not. But this dark area right here, that's another tree stump that's finally sinking. And it's sunk quite a bit. And the water comes down my driveway, down my rain spouts, down past the flagpole, and it just runs right down here. So whatever's sunken down here, the water's washing into it. But I get a lot of people saying my grass is too tall. That's why I'm getting the fungus. Well, this stuff looks pretty good. Not a heck of a lot of fungus here. And this is, what, 8 inches deep or more? I mean, this goes down Let's see. This is where all the water sinks down. That's got to be 8 inches deep. You know? And it looks pretty good. I mean, this is a pretty good spot, but it also gets a lot more water. And it might even get the nutrients washed down this way. But this area gets affected with the fungus. And I think it's mainly because all the water just comes spreading down through here. And I get a lot of seed stalks in this area. And a combination of the seed stalks and the fungus, it looks pretty bad. But my lawn also looks a lot better than it did last year and the year before. And even though I'm a tier 1 guy, that's sun. Those stripes there, sun. Even though I'm a tier 1 guy, my grass probably looks better than most of my neighborhood. Most of my neighborhood is full dormant because we haven't got a lot of rain. We're like in a little void in this area. You can watch the thunderstorms basically roll by. Those are the cranberry bogs over there, and you can watch the thunderstorms roll by 2 miles away over there. They just roll right on by, heading northeast, and we don't get the rain. Like I said, this whole area, all the way back there, it's pretty much poor soil. So forgive my video skills. I do not have any editing software. And I don't know how to add pictures to the video to show befores and afters. But here's a section that I worked on last year, and I got some better soil and brought it in when I aerated. This is all the Lesco all protein mates grass, and I like it. It's like a medium grain, and again, I'm keeping it at the highest cut the lawnmower can go, and because of the rain we had the other day, I missed the mow, so it's in desperate need of mowing. Again, this gets a lot of foot traffic. So does this area right here, where the kids get in and out of the vehicle every day. And then my front yard. Front yard's fine. I spent a lot of time getting this area done, and again, because of the rain the other day, I missed my scheduled mowing. It's growing plenty fast enough. Over here, I have some issues with thin grass. It's also a little shady over here. And I also have that real thin grass here, and this stuff is just like carpet. But I get all this dead brown grass in there. But I mean, it's so thick you can't even part your way to the dirt, and it's only 3 or 4 inches tall. This is my grass gauge, so we're just at 4 inches there. But like I said, I just don't get what's going on. And some more. Now I got a touch of fungus. And hopefully the azoxystrobin takes care of it. But as you can see, I got some grass in here that grows really fast. And another note on my lawn. I started edging and it started raining. But this whole area along the walkway and all the way down to here, I couldn't get grass to grow here for the longest time after they did the walkway. And then one day I just dug it all up. Well, everything that was left over, they pretty much just dumped along here and covered it with like 5 inches of topsoil. So I dug that out and now it's got grass. And it's mostly that Lescode Pro Teammates. And like I said, it's doing fairly well. I mean, it gets pretty thick. It's just got this, I'm pretty sure that's Poa. And then one of the last sections, this is infested with Poa. Again, I'm pretty sure that all came in with this so-called high traffic blend. I didn't know any better at the time when I planted it. But this area doesn't see much. It gets fertilized and mowed. I don't even water this section. But every time it rains, it bounces right back. But you can see how it's all died back. And a big old mushroom. And here's just a roadside slab that I threw a few handfuls of the Black Beauty down at. And I've been doing weed control here, so everything you see that's brown was weeds. But the Black Beauty is coming up pretty good. I kind of like the color. Let's see how she fills out here. I just took 3 or 4 handfuls of leftover seed and just dumped it down here. And of course, the grass always does well right along the driveway here because we get a lot of water run down here. There's zero traffic over here, but it's definitely got a little bit of everything going on.